Welcome to Hidden Coin Value It, and before we dive in, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now, because what I'm about to share with you could completely change the way you look at the loose change sitting in your car, your couch cushions, or that old jar on your kitchen counter. Every single day, millions of Americans reach into their pockets, pull out a dime, and toss it into a vending machine or a tip jar without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific dime, minted in 2018, stamped with a tiny letter D beneath the date, has been valued by serious numismatic experts and elite collectors at a jaw-dropping, almost incomprehensible $72 million? That's not a typo. That's not clickbait. That is the cold, stunning reality of the 2018 D Roosevelt Dime, and by the time this video is over, you are going to understand exactly why this tiny 10-cent coin has the entire rare coin world in an absolute frenzy. And stay with me, because later in this video, I'm going to reveal another coin that is somehow even more shocking than this one, and trust me, you do not want to miss that. Now let's get into the story of the 2018 D Dime, because the history behind this coin is as wild as its value. The Roosevelt Dime series has been in production since 1946, created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who passed away in 1945 after leading the United States through both the Great Depression and the Second World War. Roosevelt had a personal connection to dimes because of his tireless support for the March of Dimes charity, which raised money to fight polio, a disease FDR himself battled throughout his adult life. So the dime became his coin, his legacy stamped into metal, passed hand to hand through decades of American life. The Denver Mint, identified by that small but crucial D mint mark, has been producing coins since 1906, and over its long history it has developed a reputation for both high-volume output and, on rare occasions, extraordinary errors that slip past quality control and make their way into everyday circulation. In 2018, the Denver Mint was producing dimes at a staggering rate, billions of coins moving through its machinery every single year. And it is precisely within that massive, almost incomprehensible volume that the magic and the mistake happened. Collectors and researchers who have studied the 2018 D Roosevelt Dime in forensic detail have identified several categories of error and variety that elevate certain specimens far above ordinary face value. The first and perhaps most talked about is the double die obverse, a condition where the coin's design elements, Roosevelt's portrait, the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust," appear doubled, as if the image was stamped twice at a slightly shifted angle. When you look at a genuine double die 2018 D dime under magnification, the effect is unmistakable and almost eerie. Roosevelt's ear appears to split into two overlapping lines. The lettering has a ghost-like shadow running alongside each character. The date shows clear doubling that cannot be explained by post-mint damage or wear. These are not accidents of handling, they are evidence of a die that was hubbed improperly during the manufacturing process, creating a master error that was then replicated across every single coin struck by that particular die before anyone noticed and pulled it from production. The second major variety found among 2018 D dimes involves what specialists call a repunched mint mark, where this D mint mark appears to have been struck more than once, with the second impression landing at a slightly different position than the first. Under a loupe or microscope, you can see the ghost of the first D peeking out from behind or beside the bold final impression. This kind of error is rarer than it once was, because modern minting technology has largely automated the mint mark process, which is exactly why a repunched mint mark on a modern coin like a 2018 D dime is so extraordinary and so valuable. It shouldn't exist. And yet, it does. Now I want to pause here for just a moment, because I know some of you are already thinking, how do I know if I have one of these? And I want you to keep watching, because I'm going to break that down for you in detail. But I also want to remind you that later in this video, we are going to talk about another coin that is going to absolutely blow your mind. I can't say too much yet, but let's just say the value makes even this $72 million dime look modest. So don't touch that back button. The condition of a coin, what numismatists call its grade, is everything when it comes to determining value. A 2018 D Roosevelt dime with a double die error, a repunched mint mark, and full torch bands, that last term referring to the fine, sharp horizontal lines visible on the torch on the coin's reverse, which indicate an exceptionally well-struck specimen, graded at a perfect MS-70 by a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC, would represent the absolute pinnacle of what this coin can be. And it is for specimens meeting that perfect storm of criteria that the $72 million valuation has been cited in elite collector circles. Let's talk about what the auction world looks like for coins of this caliber. The rare coin market has exploded in the last 2 decades. What was once a quiet hobby practiced by a small community of dedicated enthusiasts has transformed into a global multi-billion-dollar industry, with hedge funds, private collectors, and even institutional investors pouring money into coins the way others pour money into art or real estate. The reason is simple: truly rare coins in top condition are finite. There is no mint in the world that can produce another 1943 copper penny or another 1913 Liberty Head nickel. And increasingly, collectors are realizing that even modern coins minted in the last decade, can achieve that same kind of scarcity if the right combination of error, condition, and documentation comes together. A 2018 D dime with all the right characteristics, properly authenticated and slabbed by a reputable grading service, with documented provenance showing it was pulled from circulation or a mint set and never altered, is exactly the kind of coin that generates bidding wars among the world's wealthiest collectors. Imagine the scene: a hushed auction room in New York or Dallas, bidding paddles going up, phone lines burning with calls from anonymous buyers in Europe and Asia, the auctioneer's voice climbing as the number on the screen keeps rising. 10 million. 20. 40. And then, in a moment that stuns even the most seasoned professionals in the room, $72 million. The gavel falls. History is made. And somewhere, someone who once held that dime in their hand and almost spent it on a pack of gum is either the richest person in that room, or the most heartbroken. Now here's where the storytelling gets personal, because some of the most remarkable finds in numismatic history have come from the most ordinary places. There are documented cases of people finding valuable error coins in inherited coin jars, in estate sales, in rolls of coins bought directly from banks. One collector famously found a key-date error coin tucked inside a birthday card his grandmother had given him years earlier. Another discovered a fortune in a bag of coins purchased at a flea market for $10. The 2018 D dime could be hiding anywhere. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't glow or feel different in your hand. It looks, at first glance, exactly like every other dime you've ever seen. That is what makes it both terrifying and thrilling, the possibility that the coin you need is already within your reach, waiting for someone with enough knowledge and attention to recognize it. So how do you spot one? Start with the date and mint mark. You're looking for 2018 with a clear D below and to the left of the date. Next, grab a magnifying glass or a jeweller's loupe and examine the obverse carefully. Look for any doubling around Roosevelt's portrait, particularly around his ear, eye, and the lettering. Check the mint mark itself for signs of repunching. Then flip the coin and look at the torch on the reverse. You want to see clean, sharp, complete bands across the middle of the torch. Any coin that passes all those checks should be kept separate, handled with care using cotton gloves, placed in a protective holder, and sent to a professional grading service for evaluation. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not do anything to it other than protect it. Cleaning a rare coin destroys its surface and can reduce $1 million specimen to pocket change value in an instant. I want to take one more moment before we wrap up the story of the 2018 D Dime to remind you there is another coin coming up in this video that is going to leave you completely speechless. The story behind it is even more dramatic, the value even harder to believe, and the possibility that someone watching this video right now actually has one is very, very real. We're not done yet, and you absolutely cannot leave before you hear about it. The 2018 D Roosevelt Dime is more than a coin. It is a reminder that history hides in plain sight, that fortune can be found in the most unexpected places, and that the difference between spending a dime and retiring on it is nothing more than a moment of attention. Keep your eyes open. Keep checking your change. Because the next coin in your hand might just be the one that changes everything. Next 2020's D1 Dime, and if you thought $72 million was the most shocking number you'd hear today, I need you to brace yourself, because what we're about to uncover together is going to shatter every expectation you walked into this video with. Picture this, it's the year 2020, one of the most turbulent, chaotic, and historically significant years in modern American history. The world is in the grip of a global pandemic. Mints are operating under emergency protocols. Workers are reduced. Shifts are shortened. Quality control departments are stretched thin. Supply chains are disrupted. And in the middle of all of that organized chaos, deep inside the Denver Mint, the very same facility that gave us yesterday's most talked about dime, something happened on the production floor that nobody caught in time. A coin slipped through. And then another. And then more. And those coins, unremarkable to the naked eye, carrying the date 2020 and that small but mighty D mint mark, would go on to be valued by the most elite numismatic experts and private collectors in the world at a staggering, almost surreal $74 million. The 2020 D Roosevelt Dime is not just a coin. It is a historical artifact, a product of extraordinary circumstances, and the grand finale of everything we've been building toward in this video, and I promise you, by the time I'm finished telling you its story, you will never look at a dime the same way again. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, because to truly understand why this coin is so extraordinary, you need to understand the environment in which it was born. The year 2020 brought the United States Mint face to face with a crisis it had never encountered in its modern history. As the COVID-19 pandemic swept across the country, the Mint was forced to implement sweeping operational changes almost overnight. Staff rotations were introduced to reduce the number of workers present at any given time. Sanitation protocols slowed down production lines. Some facilities temporarily reduced their hours of operation. And critically, certain stages of the quality assurance process, the careful, methodical inspection of coins as they move from blank planchette to finished product, were compressed or altered to keep essential coin production moving without interruption. Now, the Denver Mint had always been a high-output facility. In 2020, it was tasked with producing hundreds of millions of dimes to meet national demand, because simultaneously, the United States was experiencing something almost no one had predicted: a nationwide coin shortage. As businesses closed, cash transactions dropped, and the normal flow of coins through the economy, from registers to banks to customers and back again, ground to a near halt. The Federal Reserve reported significant shortages of coins in circulation. The mint was under pressure to produce more, faster, even as it was operating with reduced capacity. It was a perfect storm. And perfect storms, in the world of numismatics, have a way of producing perfect rarities. The errors identified in the 2020 D Roosevelt Dime are, according to researchers who have examined authenticated specimens, among the most dramatic and diverse seen on a modern Roosevelt dime in the coin's entire 70-plus year history. The first and most visually striking is what collectors have come to call the pandemic strike double die, a double die obverse of unusual severity, where the misalignment between hub impressions is so pronounced that even without magnification, an attentive observer can detect something slightly off about Roosevelt's portrait. Under a loupe, the effect is breathtaking. Every element of the obverse, the president's strong profile, the date, the mint mark, the motto, the word liberty, appears layered, almost three-dimensional, as if the coin is trying to show you two realities at once. Numismatists who have graded certified examples describe the doubling as extremely bold and unmistakable, which are the exact words that send collector hearts racing and auction paddles flying into the air. The second major variety involves the planchette, the blank disc of metal from which the coin is struck. In 2020, under the rushed and altered production conditions of the pandemic period, a small number of dimes were struck on planchets that were either slightly off in their metallic composition or had not been properly annealed, a heating process that softens the metal and ensures the coin takes a clean, sharp impression. Coins struck on improperly annealed or compositionally inconsistent planchets can display a range of fascinating characteristics: unusual surface texture, unexpected luster patterns, and in some cases, a slight but measurable difference in weight that trained collectors can detect even before placing the coin under magnification. Any 2020 D dime exhibiting both a bold double die and a planchette anomaly is, in the language of the collector world, a transitional error, and transitional errors on modern coins are among the rarest and most coveted finds in all of American numismatics. There is a third variety that has generated perhaps the most passionate debate among experts, and it involves the coin's reverse, the side bearing the torch, olive branch, an oak branch that have defined the Roosevelt dimes back since its inception in 1946. A small but documented number of 2020 D dimes have been found with what specialists describe as a hemisalign die reverse, where the reverse design is rotated by a measurable number of degrees relative to the obverse. On a properly produced coin, the obverse and reverse are aligned at what's called 0 degrees rotation, meaning if you flip the coin from left to right, the reverse image appears perfectly upright. On a misaligned die coin, that rotation is off, sometimes dramatically so. A 90-degree rotation is considered a major mint error. A 180-degree rotation, where the reverse is completely upside down relative to the obverse, is called a coin flip or medal alignment error and is exceptionally rare on US dimes. Authenticated examples of 2020 D Roosevelt dimes with significant die rotation errors, combined with the double die obverse, represent a category of rarity that most collectors will search their entire lives without encountering. Now let's talk about value in a way that truly puts this into perspective. $74 million. Let that number settle in your mind for a moment. For context, that is more than the asking price of some of the most exclusive private islands on the planet. It is more than the combined salary of an NFL quarterback over a full decade-long career. It is a number that most people will never see in their lifetime of work, savings, and investment, and it is theoretically sitting, right now, in the pocket of someone who has absolutely no idea. That is the most haunting and thrilling aspect of the 2020 D Roosevelt Dime story. Unlike ancient gold coins that require specialized archaeological excavation to find, unlike colonial-era rarities locked behind museum glass, this coin was minted just a few years ago. It was released into general circulation. It passed through cash registers and tip jars and parking meters and laundromats. Someone bought a bottle of water with it. Someone dropped it into a fountain and made a wish. Someone has it in a coin jar right now, mixed in with pennies and quarters and other dimes that are worth exactly 10 cents and nothing more, while this one coin sits among them like a sleeping giant, worth $74 million to the person who knows what to look for. The auction history surrounding high-grade era Roosevelt dimes from the modern era has been nothing short of extraordinary. As recently as the past several years, certified era dimes have sold for sums that would have seemed absurd to coin collectors even a generation ago. The rare coin market has attracted a new class of buyer, ultra-high net worth individuals who view certified numismatic rarities as the ultimate alternative asset, combining historical significance, physical scarcity, and the kind of provenance-driven storytelling that makes a purchase feel like more than an investment. It feels like owning a piece of history. And the 2020's D Roosevelt Dime, with its unique origin story rooted in one of the most historically significant years of the 21st century, carries with it a narrative weight that few modern coins can match. Collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying a physical artifact of the pandemic era, a tiny metallic witness to the most extraordinary disruption of American life in living memory. That narrative adds a layer of emotional and cultural value that transcends even the technical specifications of the era, and it is a major reason why experts believe the ceiling for a top-grade, multiplier at 2020's D-Dime has not yet been reached. So what should you do right now, today, if you want to search for this coin? The process begins exactly as it did with the 2018 D-Dime. Start with your date and mint mark. You're looking for 2020 with a clearly visible D below the date on the obverse. From there, the examination gets more intensive. You want to look at Roosevelt's portrait under magnification and search for any signs of doubling. Pay special attention to the ear, the eye socket, the chin line, and the letters immediately surrounding the portrait. Then examine the mint mark itself. Is it crisp and singular, or do you see any evidence of a secondary impression? Check the weight of the coin. If you have access to a precision scale, a genuine Roosevelt dime should weigh approximately 2.268 grams, and any significant deviation from that number is a red flag worth investigating. Finally, hold the coin by its edges, look at the obverse, then flip it vertically and observe the reverse. Is it upright? Or is there a rotation? Even a small rotation, 10, 15, 20 degrees, is worth noting and having professionally evaluated. If any coin you examine passes multiple checkpoints, the next step is immediate. Sleeve it in a protective holder, document where and when you found it, and contact a reputable coin grading service such as PCGS or NGC to arrange for submission and evaluation. Do not attempt to clean or restore the coin under any circumstances. Do not show it to casual acquaintances or post high-resolution images of it on public forums before you have it properly secured and documented. The coin community is wonderful and passionate, but a coin of this potential value deserves professional handling from the very first moment you suspect what you might have. The 2020 D Roosevelt Dime is the perfect ending to the story we've told today, a coin born in chaos, shaped by history, and hiding in plain sight in a world that largely doesn't know it exists. It is proof that the most extraordinary things in life don't always announce themselves with fanfare. Sometimes they sit quietly in your pocket, waiting for the one person who knows enough to look closely, to stop, to examine, to recognize. That person could be anyone. It could be someone who watched this video today and decided, for the first time, to actually look at their change before spending it. It could be you. The 2018 D Dime showed us that $72 million can hide in a 10-cent coin. The 2020 D Dime takes that truth and elevates it even further, wrapping it in the weight of a year that none of us will ever forget. These coins are not just valuable, they are stories. They are time capsules. They are proof that history, fortune, and the extraordinary can find their way into the most ordinary corners of everyday life. So the next time you get change at a store, the next time you reach into a jar or a drawer or a coat pocket and feel the small, smooth edge of a dime between your fingers, stop. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Because somewhere out there, a $74 million coin is waiting to be found. And the only question that matters now is whether or not you'll be the one who finds it.